Hello everyone and welcome to another energy of the week reading. I'm here. So I was distracted by a message I just received. Let me just slide that by. Every week I come to tell you about what the energies support by using my Healing Burnout deck to tune in to what area do we need to focus on to prevent burnout. So last week it was priorities, and actually all week I had to prioritize my time. I had to be really time efficient. I don't know about you, but I thought it was spot on. So let's find out what this week is going to tell us. But before I pull a card, I want to tell you a little bit about me. I'm a intuitive business strategist, which means that I help entrepreneurs focus on the right. Oh, the card literally jumped out. That's an interesting one as well. So focus on the right strategy and whatever it is that they need to focus on, so that they don't scatter their energy and start to get traction and results. So part of this is for me to also tune into the energy, the universal energies, because every week has a sort of different tone. And if I wanted to, I could have a reading a day as well, but I'm not that dedicated and I prefer to read it for the week. So the card that came out today is a really interesting one. It's food, and I've never had that card come before. So what the energies of the week are supporting for us to prevent burnout is to eat better. So more nutrition. We're not talking about any of the diet nonsense. We're talking about eating for energy. So focusing on fresh foods, home cooked meals. And I know that some of you maybe don't enjoy cooking, so I'm going to share a story with you that I was told, something that happened to me when I was in my early 20s actually. So at the start of my career as a lawyer, at the time I had a boyfriend that turned into my first husband, who didn't cook at all. So for all the time that I was with him, I was always the one to cook, and it can be quite tedious when you're the only one to cook for a family. And so at some point, I was sort of disillusioned with cooking, even though I do love food. I'm a foodie. I do actually enjoy cooking. I like chopping. Most of all, I like eating what I cook. And most of the time, at least in the UK, where I live, if I go to a restaurant, food is not likely to be as good as what I can cook for myself. So that's quite an interesting experience as well. But let's go back in time. I'm in my 20s and I'm fed up with cooking to the point where I resent it, right? Even though, as I said in the context, I love food, I love cooking, but because I'm with someone who's not helping at all, it feels like a chore. And I suppose I'm sharing this to inspire those of you who, when they see this card for the week, might say, oh no, Ange, please don't ask us to cook. I really don't like it. So I went to San Francisco to go and visit a very good friend of mine. And I had this reading. That's probably the second reading I had in my entire life at the time. But it was from a very different lady than the first time. Because it was even a different part of the world. And this woman had been trained in the Native American tradition. I think it's relevant to what I'm going to say. And up to then, so I'm not a big meditator. And even less back then. I was a busy corporate lawyer, and at one point I also had children. My life was complicated. I didn't have time to really think about meditating or anything like that. Anyway, this woman, when she looked at me, she said, cooking is actually a form of meditation for you. It's nourishing on so many different levels. It nourishes you whilst you chop the vegetables. It nourishes you whilst you do the cooking. And obviously it nourishes you once you eat it. And because she said it in such a way, she completely shifted the energy around cooking a meal like 3 times a day. That can be tedious if you think about it. What's really tedious is to find new ideas and things like that. So anyway, I kid you not, this was like 40 years ago, maybe a little bit less. I've never looked at cooking in the same way. It completely took out all of the resentment around me being the only cook in the house, which continued actually up to this day. But I've never felt resentful or felt like cooking was a chore again. So this is quite a powerful story that I'm sharing in the hope that you will realize that cooking, if you cook for yourself, and it doesn't have to be complicated, cooking can be really simple, like even making yourself a jacket potato with a little bit of hummus butter. Obviously everybody has different nutritional needs, a little bit of coleslaw on the side. Even if you make your own coleslaw, even better. What you need to do is to grate some carrots, chop up some white cabbage, and add a little bit of mayonnaise. Now you can make the mayonnaise yourself, or you could just buy shop mayonnaise, but try and buy a good quality one. Already you'll have a much more nutritional meal than if you buy a ready-made curry from a supermarket. So that's what I'm talking about. And I think with cooking, what needs to happen is you could take some classes. Nowadays, there's lots of classes. There's even videos on YouTube that you can watch. Information abounds. So you're bound to find something that is going to be useful for you, that's going to inspire you. And I want to say something that's really surprised me recently. So I'm still looking for inspiration and renewed energy for my cooking. And recently, reels on Facebook have been wonderful from that point of view. I've tried new recipe because my eye has been caught by a reel, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. I'll try it out. Sometimes I retain the recipe, sometimes I don't. But that kind of gives that little bit of an energy boost to the whole eating, cooking process that we have to go through several times a day. Now, it's also because not everybody can afford to buy takeaways every day or regularly, or to go out and eat in restaurants or even canteens or whatever it is. So by preparing your own food, first of all, you have more control over what goes in your food. So there's likely to be a lot less preservatives. Not that preservatives are bad per such, but it's not ideal to buy food that's full of preservatives. I want to be balanced here, because I don't want you to think that I'm this sort of health and natural cooking sort of thing. You know, I'm a busy mum. I used to have 4 autistic kids in the house. 2 of them are now grown up, but I had a bit of a reminder of what it was like with them, because I had 3 of them for dinner last night. And we sort of managed to find something that everybody liked eating, but it was really difficult because when they were little, they were such fussy eaters that I literally had to make a different meal for each one of them. And I had 4 at the time. So that was taken to the nth degree. But of course, because they were autistic, it's not like you can tell a child who's autistic, well, that's what you get, and if you're not happy, be it, because they just won't eat. They don't care about food that much. And so that is really rattling. So what I'm trying to say here is you can keep it simple. I'm not saying to make your life more complicated. Maybe you have a very stressful life. You can still find simple recipes, at least a couple that you can rinse and repeat, right? For example, for breakfast, I make what's called overnight oats, which is 3 tablespoons of oats. I add to that 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, 1 tablespoon of flax seeds, a little bit of almond milk, a little bit of yogurt. I mix all that up, add a bit of maple syrup because I like it, but you can put anything you want as a sweetener, and I leave it overnight. This is already, by doing that, it is cooking because you assemble natural ingredients together. You add a bit of fruit to it in the morning, and already you have a much healthier breakfast than if you pick up a box of cereals. So this week, you're going to be supported, to be inspired, but also to create the space mentally and hopefully time-wise to take that little bit of time to prepare yourself some nourishing food and to try new recipes, even if they're extra simple, and to get the momentum going. So jump on that bandwagon, nourishing ourselves is so important. It is incredibly important for preventing burnout as well. Thank you for listening. If you've liked this video, please give it a like. If you think someone can benefit from watching it, sorry, I'm a bit, my nose is itchy, tag them underneath. Comment below, because that's the best way for this video to reach more people. Thank you so much, and see you again next week. Bye for now.